we have Dr. Meagan Downey, Zachary Hitchens, Huff, and Dr. Chris Truong from Towson University.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. I'm Meagan Downey. I am an occupational therapist, and I graduated from Towson this past May. I had the great fortune during this time to work with Zach, Zoe, and Chris on a project for nesting neurodiversity in nature. I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves as well.
Okay, I'm Zach Hitchens. I use he, him pronouns. I'm one of the alcohol and drug counselors at Towson University. I also coordinate our NatureX program on campus. Our colleague Zoe Huff couldn't be with us today. She's at another conference and just unfortunately overlapped with this one.
And hi, everyone. Great to meet you all. I'm Dr. Chris Truong. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm actually part of the counseling center. So I'm a staff psychologist, as well as the coordinator of neurodiversity affirming services. And I'm really excited to talk more about our work with you all.
So to get started, a little about our university and kind of how this new range of programming started. So for those of you unfamiliar, our university is the second largest one in the state of Maryland. We're located, I guess, 2 miles north of the Baltimore city line. So we're a suburban/urban campus with about 20,000 students. We are a majority minority institution, and a large proportion of our students are Pell eligible. So we do see students with a lot of financial need. This particular vein of program within NatureX, it was an idea from the peer education group that Chris oversees with our neurodiverse peer educators. And they want to do something involving nature and nature spaces. I helped coordinate the NatureX program. So it was a wonderful collaboration. And then Chris and their peer eds had worked with Dr. Downey before. So it was just kind of this wonderful synergy that took place for us. And it really came out, there's a need for access for space to support decompression, relaxation, and regulation. Especially, we have a large, busy campus. Like I said, it's a suburban kind of urban campus. So we do have a lot of traffic noise. There's a fire station across from campus, police station. So there's a lot of stimulation that impacts our neurodiverse members of our campus community. And people said it was, a challenge to find these calming spaces indoors due to lack of available calming spaces, as well as, a lot of fluorescent lights. There's a lot of stimuli in indoor environments, and we know how beneficial nature can be for folks. So our project really focuses on teaching students and staff to learn about themselves through understanding their sensory profiles, identifying their needs, and considering the power of outdoor spaces and nature to support them in those efforts.
And so before we actually highlight our programming, we thought it'd be helpful just to give some definitions and language so we're all on the same page. So for those who don't know or aren't familiar, neurodiversity is a term that refers to natural variation of the brain, thinking, communication, and experiencing the world. And so using neurodiversity, we take an approach called neurodiversity affirming care. And so within this framework, there are some core principles. And one of these principles includes the idea that there is no correct way of thinking, learning, or behaving. Brain differences are not viewed as inherently pathological or deficits. And it's also important to balance it, acknowledge both strengths and challenges that come with neurodivergence. Through this lens, neurodivergence can include like the idea of like a medical diagnosis, but also the idea of neurodivergence as an identity. So it holds both. And we really wanted to lean into the power of nature because nature is very amazing. And being in green spaces has been associated with lower stress, reduced anxiety and depression, improved attention, increased energy, reduced mental fatigue, and improved well-being. So all those already mental health benefits coupled with the ability to provide a more supportive environment and accessible environment to our neurodivergent community, it really seemed like a natural win for us to lean into these strengths.
So our first project that we did within this umbrella, and we'll talk about a second we developed later on, we really wanted to help identify those spaces on campus that were supportive to people with different sensory needs. So a lot of campuses talk about, find nature places on campus. We took that one level deeper to find out what are those places on campus that are also supportive for a variety of sensory needs and profiles for individuals. Zoe and I spent 2 wonderful hours. It was like the best 2 hours you could possibly spend because we literally just walked around campus and we looked at all the different natural spaces where students and staff could engage with nature, taking into account different sensory profiles. So what we did was we ended up making a walking route through campus that highlighted various outdoor spaces that someone go to decompress, relax, and regulate based on their sensory needs. The things we looked into were the different temperature profiles of space as related to time of day, sunlight, wind, all of those things to look at the temperature. We looked at the seating, the variety of seating. We looked places that the seating could be adapted. If somewhere a cushion or a towel could help with it. You know, is there a log you could sit on versus, you know, someone that could sit on a harder bench? We looked at the shade and how the light and shade would interplay during different times of the day. We also looked at background sounds. What sounds were in that space? We're a large campus. There's always construction. So is there construction noise? Is there street noise? Is there, you know, noise from residence halls? All those different things. We also looked at the impact of different weather. So that could be time of year. So we're in the mid-Atlantic. So was this a space that's better in the winter versus the spring or summer? Is this something where if it were raining, you know, there's some kind of cover? So we looked at all those different approaches. And then we actually took students on a walk and showed them all these different spaces. So that little map in the corner there with the numbers, those are all the different spaces we identified. This is just 1/2 of our campus. We didn't do our entire campus because it'd be way too much of a time commitment for students. And then on that walk, we modeled how those spaces could be used, as well as how students could adapt the environment to fit their needs as best as possible.
All right, so how does this work? As you heard Zach mention, there are these special sensory profiles. And as an occupational therapist, we have various types of assessments we can do to determine someone's sensory profile. But there are also questionnaires online that you can use just to get a better sense of, am I sensitive to noise? Am I someone who seeks out noise? So think about it like this. If you're going to go to sleep somewhere, you probably have specific needs, right? And your need is probably different from someone else's needs. So some people need the blackout curtains. They need complete silence. They need a soft mattress, you know? Other people, they need, oh, I'm getting hearts. Other people need the white noise. They need that firm mattress, a foot warmer.
Meagan, I think you're muted.
I saw that. Weird. That's so weird. Oh, whoa, things are happening. So if you don't get that type of input that you're craving, you might not sleep as well that night. So think about it now as a student. If you're trying to study, if you're trying to socialize, if you are trying to learn, again, your body is seeking specific type of input. And we do see in our neurodivergent community, but in anyone really, that some of us seek more and some of us are more sensitive. So there's a nice little model there called Dunn's model of sensory processing that you can look into if you're really interested what types of things you are sensitive to and, you know, more. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What happened? Okay,
We
sorry.
still see and hear you.
I know my screen is doing weird things. So basically, what we did is we sort of gave that questionnaire to students at the beginning of the walk so they could get a better idea of some of their sensory preferences. And then walking around these different spaces, we talked about accommodations they could use. So if we went to this space that you see pictured here, it's behind our psychology building. It's very quiet. There's not a lot of noise there. So someone who knows that they're sensitive to noise might say, ooh, this is a great space for me. But let's imagine that same person doesn't like the feel of cold metal. So they have maybe a tactile sensitivity. That's when we can basically provide those accommodations. Like we can provide their, like Zach had said, maybe they bring a cushion or a towel or a jacket so that that space now becomes a space where they can be successful with the activity they're trying to do there. So yeah, those are sort of the types of things we tried to point out to them and provide them with different options so that, again, they can find those spaces on campus that are comfortable and are going to be a space where they can be successful in whatever activity they're doing.
And so that walk was really great. Students said that they enjoyed it. And so we decided to do more of this programming, connecting neurodivergence and nature. And so the first time we held the walk, it was actually during the spring. And, you know, there are different weather elements. And we're like, all right, let's try again in a different season. So we did it again for fall this semester. And so we had the same curated route, but then we adapted it for the different temperature, different weather. And also we provided fidgets for folks to take with them as they go on the walk so they could practice that regulation while going on the route with us. And we also, of course, provided flexible pacing. So if for some reason a student just wanted to sit down and try out one of the benches, to try out one of the accommodations, we allowed for them to do that so they can get that instant feedback of like, oh, I like this or I don't like this. So that walk was really great. And then we also decided to expand it beyond walks. One of my peer educators like, I love floor time. I don't know if you know what floor time is, but some folks feel really grounded when they just lie on the floor and just lay there. And so we're like, okay, let's take floor time outside. And so we called it Nature Nook, where we partnered together again with Zach and Zoe, and we brought out a bunch of outdoor adventures gear like tents, mats, like chairs for the floor, hammocks, blankets, and people were able to go there and do outdoor floor time in whatever way resonated with them. And in addition to providing all those like equipments to like showcase, hey, you can rent these yourself. We also provided activities like coloring pages and games to help people feel connected with other folks who was enjoying the space with us. And so it was very positive, and we received a lot of good feedback, and we're hoping to do more of this to see how students will respond when we adapt even further.
Yeah, and I will say it was interesting with our Nature Nook event, how many students just saw it happening and wanted to come and participate in it. And for our nature walks, the first time we did it, it was raining and not lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked students, we said, you know, we have pictures of all the space. They said, no, we want to do it. So we actually spent 90 minutes in the rain with students with umbrellas, going around testing out all these things. So it really showed how much of a desire students had to learn this information so they could use it for themselves. They were also sent copies of the map afterwards, so they always had it with them. So it is something that we can plan to continue to grow, but there is definitely a need that we see for this.
And I want to emphasize, like, while this definitely was, you know, birthed or created from like supporting the neurodivergent community, it could benefit folks out who are not neurodivergent, right? And so it's like universally anyone can benefit from any of these programmings, which I think is a bonus.